Welcome to MI Magazine Presents Soul, a weekly entertainment show on fashion, arts and culture, mental health, relationships, travel, and food. Our weekly co-hosts are Carla Hill, Dr. Delvina Thomas, and Chef Irene. Now introducing our host, Miss Nicky Gelin.
Hello, good night, and happy Hump Wednesday. Welcome to MIA Magazine Presents So I'm your host. I am Nicky G. Nicky says YOLO, and thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Now, a shout out to our sponsors. So Soul is brought to you by the AARP, and also it is November, and we're going into December. So that means that the Art of Black Miami is now available for submissions. So MIA Magazine is a part of the Art of Black Miami initiative, and it's a beautiful artistic representation and guide of galleries that represent Black artists from Miami and to visitors and locals. So the issue will be published on November 26th of this year. All images are to be received by November 10th, which is literally next week. So the awardee will win $5,000, a cash award, and the sponsors awardee will win $1,500. So again, go ahead and submit your submissions for the Art of Black Miami. Visit MIA Media GRP/nominations for more information. Now, this weekend, I have the opportunity and the privilege to host the launch of Catwalk Pro's Model and Talent Agency. So it was a masquerade and fashion event. It was brought together by Sandra Ward St. Jones, the actual founder, and the manager, Vernay Pegues Knowles. So Leah, go ahead and drop the video recap. Y'all, it's about to go down. It's officially about to happen. People are rolling in. The VIP started at 6 o'clock. The show starts at 7. So yeah, I am backstage right now getting some BTS. Everybody's getting ready. So I'm here outside with all the vendors, and here's one of my favorite tables. Got my little bracelet. Yeah, so here's my view. Very nice.
Oh my God, this is absolutely.
You attempt to knock me down, but I won't lower my radiancy. You keep saying I'm not tall or skinny enough, and that's not fair. We're so different, yet alike. We're perfect, even despite. No matter what, they won't dim our light. When I look in the mirror, I see beautiful me. Beauty comes in all colors, shapes, and sizes, so be you shamelessly. Continue to shine gracefully. You keep saying I'm not tall or skinny enough, and that's not fair. Can't you see that we're just simply rare?
All right. So it's coming to an end right now. And while this plays, I do want to give a shout out to the designers. So it's Lafayette and Grand, the Wellborn Sisters, Fernando Wong Couture, and also. And ladies and gentlemen, it's officially a wrap. Now it's time for the after So that's the recap. And you know what? The great thing about this agency is, again, they're all about bringing in new models and new talent from our diverse diaspora. So no matter what shape, size, skin tone, hair texture, height, they're all about representation, and representation matters. So we have two special guests tonight, and again, it's the Miami Book Fair. So our first guest, she is Jayne Allen, a writer for Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. Y'all, when I read that, I was like, that's real deep. So I can't wait to get her insight into where her inspiration came from. And our second featured guest is BLatina with a good hair, founder of Latina, and she is a boss babe, Miss Shomara Garcia. So you don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. And now on to my first co-host. She is our board certified psychiatrist and the founder of the Brain Love podcast. So Dr. Delvina, what's happening tonight?
Hey, Nicky. Happy hump day. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm peachy keen. Thank you. Are you ready to take the couch?
Always ready for you.
So we got to switch gears. I know you were talking about all the fun, fantastic stuff with the designers and the fashion, and that was pretty awesome. Congratulations in hosting that event.
Thank you.
Looks like it was a good time. I saw Eric Knowles in one of your pictures.
Yeah, Eric was there, Connie, and also Beth Sobel was there. She's the founder of Miami Fashion Week. So it was a great night.
Very nice, very nice. Shout out to my golfing team. Speaking of Eric Knowles, he is the president of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. And there was a golfing event on Friday, and my team won first and third place. So shout out to my crew. That's right.
Okay.
Listen, life is all about balance, man. So you got to find out what your therapy is. You got to know what helps you to relax, what helps you to balance things. And so tonight we're going to talk about caregivers. We're going to talk about caregiver stress. If you don't know, you know now that November is National Family Caregiver Appreciation Month. That's a long title. November is National Family Caregiver Appreciation Month. And so, you know, when we talk about, we just had October. October was Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We talked about breast cancer a lot. And there were also some dialogues about cancer in general. And also, we can't leave out the caregivers, the people who help take care of these folks. And caregivers don't just take care of people with cancer. Of course, they take care of people with dementia, like Alzheimer's dementia and some of these other neurological diseases. And caregivers take care of family members who are sick, maybe family members who have had COVID-19 and are long haulers. So I don't want to leave those people out. I want to talk about caregiver stress, which is physical and emotional strain that results from providing continuous care for another person. The stress can be prolonged. It can cause serious physical and mental health problems. And so we can't leave those people out because there is such a thing as caregiver burnout. And Nicky, you and I, as we grow and we get older, we may transition and become a caregiver. We could become a caregiver for our parents. We could become caregivers for our own children, depending on what happens with their lives and how things unfold for them as they continue to get older, or for some other family member, potentially your unnamed mother-in-law, you know, at some point in time. So this is something that's very real and that we have to talk about. Caregiver stress. If you're a caregiver and you're experiencing frequent headaches, body aches, always feeling tired, sleeping too much or too little, changing weight, and you also find yourself relying on certain things to make you feel better, like alcohol, weed, or some other type of substance, then you may be experiencing caregiver stress. There are some emotional signs, like people become moody, they're easily irritated, they get angry easily, they feel sad all the time or hopeless, and they lose interest in doing things. These things probably sound very familiar to you, Nikki, because I've talked about these types of symptoms before and talking about regular old stress management when talking about depressive disorders and things of that nature, and also talking about the stress from the pandemic. So we know that stress can have long-term effects. Long-term symptoms can include mental health issues like anxiety and depression, having a weakened immune system. So if you're a caregiver, you could potentially get sick more often than you usually would or normally would. And that's because you're under so much stress, so you weaken your immune system. Sometimes folks also have issues with digestion. They may notice changes with their bowel movements and things like that. And also, it increases your risk of developing chronic diseases like elevated blood pressure and diabetes. So that's why it's important to talk about this. Now, we know that there are certain causes for caregiver stress, but I only have so much time. So I want to quickly go through some things that folks can do to help themselves. Nikki, give me one. Tell me one thing that anyone can do to help themselves with stress, especially caregiver stress too.
I would say take a day off for some me time.
Boom, exactly. Take time off, have some me time. Give yourself an opportunity to complete a small task. You don't have to take time off and do anything, but as Nikki says, guys, take time off, decompress, give yourself a little breather, and also find joy in accomplishing the little things. If you're able to clean, wash your laundry and fold the clothes after you've done it within 24 hours, pat yourself on the back because that can be a big burden. We also want folks to eat right. What else do you think, Nick, for them to just manage and to balance their stress?
Well, I have a loved one that she is a caregiver. So she's like an assistant to like patients. She'll go to different houses. So there is anxiety and stress as a part of her day-to-day tasks. And it's also intangible and tangible because she has to physically help the person or her patient, and it takes a toll on her body as well. So definitely say get maybe some chiropractic treatment, massages to help just relax the muscle and to just kind of get your joints back in place. But physically, it's a lot physically, especially if they can't help themselves.
I love that recommendation. Yes, because we can't just focus on the mental. We got to focus on the consequences of all the physical, like you're saying, helping them in and out of the bed, helping them in and out of the wheelchair, helping them get into the car. All those things are physically taxing. We have to wrap it up now, but I also just want to remind people to eat right, eat healthy, get enough sleep, and don't be afraid of meditating. And don't forget to laugh. So continue to watch MIA Soul every Wednesday night. We talk about all different sorts of things, but we have a lot of fun here. We have fun and we laugh. I know my topics can be heavy, but I try to make you guys laugh as well. And so we try to mix it up. Laugh, guys. Don't take on all that stress and not find a way to laugh and enjoy life.
Right. Well, thank you very well. You speak the truth. You gotta speak the truth and let us know what's up. So thank you very much. And any shows coming up on your side? Any podcast shows that we should be aware of? Brain Love or anything?
Gosh. Yeah. It just, follow me on Instagram. I'm posting there. I got some great shows coming up during this month, though, especially for November, which we know is the month of gratitude and thankfulness. I'm interviewing Mr. Norton, who lost his arm in a car accident a couple of years ago. So that's coming up very soon. He was a Miami Dolphins player. So be on the lookout for that, guys.
Okay. All right. Well, Dr. Delvina, thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Say brain love.
Brain love. And now on to my next co-host. She's always doing it for the culture right here within the MIA. Miss Carla Hill, what's going on tonight?
Hi, Nikki, and happy Wednesday to all of our MIA Soul crew. I'm Carla Hill, and this week I made the happiest discovery. I'll give you a clue. Fashion fair. Maybe you were lucky enough to attend an in-person and glamorous fashion fair show. I remember reading Jet and Ebony and seeing all of the cities in the ads that the show would make stops in and wishing I would be gifted a ticket. The fashion fair shows were the brainchild of Mrs. Eunice Johnson, the matriarch of the famous Johnson family, who brought Ebony and Jet magazine to households all over the nation and the world. After seeing models make their own foundation formulas with eyeshadow and lotion before fashion shows, Mrs. Johnson realized her dream of a brand of cosmetics that were made especially for richer toned skin. In 1973, Johnson Publishing launched Fashion Fair Cosmetics, successfully developing a makeup line exclusively for Black and brown women with chocolatey bases and golden undertones, all wrapped up in pretty pink boxes. Some of you out there, like me, it was a rite of passage to finally be able to go to the counter and purchase our first fashion fair lipstick. Do you remember the makeup counter displays and the luxurious ads? Thanks to Mrs. Johnson, several generations of Black women were able to see themselves represented as beautiful and glamorous with colors that finally addressed the nuances of our skin. Well, after many years of hiatus, Fashion Fair is back and exclusively at Sephora. The approximately 70-piece collection reworks Fashion Fair's classics, like their cream to powder foundation and their makeup sticks. It's rearranged for an era when shoppers are eager for transparency, particularly when it comes to what they're putting on their skin. They're making sure that the ingredients are cleaner than ever. There are 14 lipsticks, y'all, including iconic shades like sepia, chocolate raspberry, and that Olay orange that you're seeing here, you remember that, and pure plum. They're now formulated with hydrating sunflower seed oil and rosemary leaf extract. I went to Sephora this weekend and felt like I was 16 again, spending my well-earned check from my movie theater job as I reunited with Fashion Fair's cream to powder foundation. Desiree Rogers and Cheryl Mayberry McKissack raised the funds with the help of a minority investor to buy Fashion Fair, laying the groundwork for a Black-owned beauty empire with big plans. The pair has relaunched the brand with updated white and gold packaging that has arrived on counters at Sephora's nationwide. With If Beale Street Could Talk star Kiki Lane as the Fashion Fair ambassador, Ms. Rogers and Ms. Mayberry McKissack are betting that people fed up with Insta brands want the real thing, a brand with nearly 50 years of history and a track record of serving the community before inclusivity was just good business. I personally think they're onto something. A friend of mine shared a great idea on social media that will help us to support the legendary Fashion Fair. Consider buying each of your girlfriends or any of your friends a tube of lipstick. Spread the glamour and show the world that Fashion Fair is still the queen and the original representation of Black beauty. This is Carla Hill with your Arts and Culture Report this week. See you next time, MIA Soul. Hint, hint. I'd love a tube of the Magenta Mist lipstick. Okay, bye.
Okay, we got your hint, Miss Carla. And I do want to say, like, Fashion Fair, it just brings back memories because my mother used to wear Fashion Fair all the time. So I have to let her know that it's back. Now, on to my next co-host. He's a private and personal chef. He's also the host of Taste the Islands on American Public Television. So, Chef Irie, what on tonight? Uh-oh.
What's going on, Nicky? What's going on? We didn't light up the studio to stick, but this is for me for later to enjoy my vibes, my happy hump day vibes. Yeah. So salute to you, Chica. Good job on the catwalks on the runway. Yes, and salute to my sisterins that put that marvelous show together, even though I was not able to attend. I was busy working. Thank you very much. Yes. So November 3rd, do you know what day today is? This is National Sandwich Day. Yes, it is National Sandwich Day, darling. So do you enjoy a good sandwich, Nikki? Do you enjoy
yes,
sandwich?
I do.
Oh, my goodness. So listen, I know there are many
types of sandwiches, but these are the sandwiches that came to mind, and I think most of them I have had, and I do enjoy them. So we're gonna run through them. Some of them, are definitely, here Americana, part of Americana. Some have come by way of other cultures. So, but we're gonna start off real first. Grilled cheese, the grilled cheese sandwich. How easy and simple can you get? And
Mm.
how homemade is that? How, what is it? Yeah, when you're a kid, these are the things that you yearn for with that grilled cheese sandwich and that tomato soup or whatever it is.
Ooh.
Yes, comfort food is the word I was looking for. And of course, when you go to France, don't go to the French people and say, "Can I get a No, no, no. Do it the right way. Can I get a croque monsieur, darling? Yes, or the croque madame. Yes, yes. You want to sound respectable, like you know something. All right, that's grilled cheese. All right, we gonna go to the next one. This is a sandwich that I love. I love me subs and all, but I just love me a meatball sub.
Mm.
Okay, sub, for those of you who don't know, sub is short for submarine, a meatball submarine sandwich. Yes, because people always tend to forget, the shortening of words and, oh, where did it come from? Oh, I don't know what sub mean. It's a submarine sandwich. Yes, and you want to make sure that meatball, those meatballs are well seasoned. You don't want little teeny weeny itty bitty meatballs. You want big meatballs, basil, cheese, provolone, tomato
Ooh.
sauce. Oh yes, and of course to the side right over here, we got a little alternative version. We got a quinoa, but I'm not going to call it a meatball. I refuse to call vegetable products by meat names. No, that's a quinoa ball sub. Yes, and just season up with carrots and black beans and all that stuff. Put your nice provolone cheese. There you have it. An alternative to the meatball sub. What else we got, girl?
Ooh.
Grilled vegetable sandwich. All right.
Ooh,
Why
yes.
why does this one speak out to me? When I was working at Bimini Boatyard, which is now Bimini, we had a vegetable sandwich on the menu made with fresh focaccia. All right. You talking eggplants, tomatoes, zucchini, squash, tomatoes, herbs, and dressing, and the herbaceousness of that bread. It was to die for. You can also put that same sandwich on a ciabatta bread. And if you don't get
Oh.
either, any bread will do for a grilled vegetable sandwich. Just don't overcook the bloody vegetables, okay? Please. Nice olive oil sprinkle on it, and you're good to go. Woo! All right, what we got? The banh mi or banh mi. Banh mi. It is Vietnamese, also called the Saigon Roll. Yes. So you can have this vegetarian, but primarily this sandwich is made from roast pork, and you can also add chicken or seafood. We got lettuce, carrot, cucumbers, sometimes daikon radish, pickled carrot, pickled carrots, and a ton load of cilantro, and of course whatever the dressing is on the banh mi. Definitely, it always comes in a baguette. It's not a huge, long sandwich, nice and small. You can get a few of them, probably about 6 inches. Get a few of them to die for. There you go. But the banh mi, all right, over there in Philly, baby. All right. Don't be over there calling it's called the cheesesteak sandwich. And yes, people now call it the Philly cheesesteak because it is from Philly. Yes, Mr. Oliveri. Yes, he started this back in the 30s. Yes, he was a hot dog dude. And he's like, you know what? I want something else beside hot dog. Goes back and he makes this sandwich with meat and cheese. And boom, for the taxi guys. And they made the cheesesteak sandwich very popular. And after he did all of this, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna open up a place. So he called it what is it called? Pat's King of Steaks, the restaurant, and they're famous for their Philly cheesesteak. You gotta have yourself a cheesesteak sandwich when you go to Philly, because any place else is just a knockoff. I'm just saying it. Unless you got people from Philly making your Philly cheesesteak sandwich, and you gotta have that Amarosa roll. Any other roll is fraudulent. All right, good. Here we got lobster roll. If you're there in New England, Maine, New Hampshire, those areas, you gotta have you a fresh lobster roll. I'm talking fresh bread with that butter and the mayonnaise. Fresh, might be a little expensive now because lobster is
Mm.
usually expensive. All right, that's what I'm saying. All right, so make sure you go out and get you a nice fresh lobster roll, baby. Trust me, you won't regret it. What we got? What we got? Oh, king of sandwiches, if you ask me. The Reuben. Yes, by way of what is it? Romania. Yes, they're made from pastrami or corned beef. Yes, corned beef from the brisket, and this sandwich is just huge for not just for Jewish people but delis in New York. So I made sure one of the trips that I went to New York, I had to have a Reuben, not from any place, but from Carnegie Deli, which is now closed, I think. But if you go back to New York, you can go to Cat's Delis, which has been open for I think 100 a long time, a long time. So get yourself a Reuben. And if you're in New Orleans, get yourself a muffaletta sandwich, baby. Yes, a muffaletta sandwich, Americana and Siciliana, wrapped up in one nice soft sesame, soft toasty bun with olive salad and all kind of cold cuts. So you must try one of these sandwiches if you've never had them before. And yes, like I said earlier, there's so many other different sandwiches that we could, dine and gorge on. If you know some, drop it in the comment section, as we are going through this show tonight. So National Sandwich Day, there you go. My wrap up of some of the iconic sandwiches that can be found here in America. Salud. Yes.
I'm hungry now. I'm so hungry. All right, Chef. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. And now on to our first featured guest, Jayne Allen. So Jayne is just one of the many other authors from around the world participating in the Miami Book Fair 2021, the nation's largest gathering of writers and readers of all ages. So Jayne, thank you so much for being our guest tonight. You are the writer of Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. Now, it's either subliminal or direct or both. Okay, so tell us a little about your backgrounds and what inspired the book.
Well, I this is my first novel, and I started my career as a voyeur and executive in the music industry, and then moved into business. But I've always been in corporate spaces, and I got the idea for this novel in 2016, and I was starting to think about how I was feeling in all of the environments that I was in. And this was the time also when we were on the cusp of maybe having the first, female president in the United States. And it was this moment of realizing, wow, there's actually a glass ceiling, like we're talking about shattering a glass ceiling, but wait, that means there is one. And I was really reflective of all of the things that were part of my experience, specifically as a woman and as a Black woman. And the layers of that seem like a lot. So, not feeling safe, feeling unseen in my, in a brown body. And most importantly, on top of all that, feeling uncelebrated. And so when I thought about, what did I feel and how would I want to characterize this experience in this moment, it just felt exhausting. And I think, going through all of these things that we go through in a day, in a lifetime, and not being celebrated for persevering and showing up with all the joy and humor and incredible things that we do in spite of all of this, I thought that needed to change. So I wanted to write a novel that did acknowledge the layers of weight that are part of the experience of being a Black woman in contemporary society, but really did a job of celebrating who we are as human beings and people in the midst of all of this, which is an incredible thing that I don't think we really give ourselves enough credit for, and certainly don't get the credit elsewhere. So I decided to write this book, really taking a perspective of what does it mean to live a life in the body of, as a brown body and as a Black woman in contemporary society, and to acknowledge that it can be exhausting, and then do what we do from a cultural perspective, which is make lemonade out of lemons all the time, and shift the meaning of that title. So as you go through the book, the meaning of the title changes. So it starts out as an acknowledgement, it turns into a celebration, and ultimately ends with an inspirational meaning that is completely different from what you might come to the book with. So it's just interesting to hear from people what the title means to them when they started, when they first came to the book versus when they finished.
Well, I kind of like read a little, and it takes place like in the 1950s.
Well, no, the book takes place in mainly in contemporary society based in Los Angeles, but there are flashbacks to the 1950s because so the main character is Tabitha Walker. She's a 33-year-old Black woman living in contemporary Los Angeles. But there's a secondary character that has a very important role. That's her grandmother, who happens to be white. And she talks a lot about what her life was like and how race and gender impacted her journey and how it impacted the way that their family wound up being structured. So Tabitha's grandmother is her father's mother, and she married a Black man in the times where it was illegal where she was from. So they moved out to California, and there's just a lot of the backstory of that family in this story, and it does shape in part what Tabitha's experiences and how her family has evolved. So that part is in there. Yeah.
So when is the Miami Book Fair, and how can we get copies?
So the Miami Book Fair, I will be in room 8503 on November 20th. That's Saturday at 4 p.m. So I'll be doing a talk about the book, a moderated talk. And the book you can find everywhere that books are sold. It's in the airport, it's at Target, it's in your local bookshop, it's online. So yes, I hope that people get a chance to check it out and enjoy the journey.
Yeah, it seems like a really, really good read, and definitely relatable to, women and girls of color. So thanks again for your. So I know it's fictitious. I saw that disclaimer as well.
It is fictitious. It is fictitious.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations, and good luck with the book fair. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right. And now on to our next featured guest. She is the founder of BLatina with the good hair and shop BLatina. She is a boss bae, and she is such an advocate and for the representation of Blacks who are Latinas and Latinos. So Ms. Shomara Garcia, thank you for being our guest tonight. How's it going?
It's going. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, definitely. So I do know a little about your background, and I would love to share that with the audience. So my first question is, so tell us a little about your background. You are Black and you are Latina. So yes, tell us about that.
Hi. So my father was Belizean from Central America, and my mom is Puerto Rican. So yes, I am a Black Latina at its finest. Literally grew up in Connecticut and made my way down to Miami. And I will say having both cultures have definitely shaped the dynamic of who I am and what I've experienced and encountered over the years.
Yeah, we're going to get more into that further on down the interview. So for like our audience, in case if they're not aware, what's the difference between Latinos and Hispanics? Are they the same? Are they different?
Okay, so that's a great question. What's the difference between Latinos and Hispanics, right? So Hispanics mean you either come from a Spanish-speaking country or your culture is Spanish-speaking, right? Whereas Latinos, anyone can be Latino if your language derives from the Latin language or if you're in Latin America. So for example, Brazil is not a Spanish-speaking country. They speak Portuguese, but they are considered Latinos because it's in South America.
Oh, I see. Okay, so Latin America, and even Creole, Haitian Creole is Latin as well.
Yes, because Creole has derived from Latin.
Oh, I see. So Hispanics like it's from like maybe Spain. It's like a Spanish-speaking country.
Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic.
Oh, and then Latin could be any country outside of speaking Spanish. Will be
Correct.
Latino. Oh, okay. All right, audience, if you have any questions, if you need any more clarification, drop your questions in the comment box. Okay.
Yes. Ask away and I shall answer.
So why the name BLatina with the good hair?
Okay, so why the name Latina with the good hair? I started that back in 2016. It was a play on words, considering when Beyonce came out with that song, and at the end she says, "You better call Becky with the good hair." And so I thought it was very catchy, considering ever since I was a little girl, I've always been told I had good hair, right? Times have changed, obviously. And that's not to say that I believe in good hair or bad hair. I know that there's no such thing. For me, healthy hair is good hair, whether you have a little bit or a lot of it, thick, thin, whatever the case may be. But growing up, I was always told, I just always remember going to the stores with my father, and women will stop him and be like, "Your daughter's hair is so beautiful. Like, how did she get that hair?" And they would be so confused. And even in school, and they would always like accuse me and saying, "Oh, you only have hair like that because of your Puerto Rican side," or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, actually, both sides of my family have hair like me. So I was just so confused. But then growing up and learning history and everything, I just chose that name as a play on words. One, because it was trending with Beyonce, and two, because of my experiences. However, since then, I have changed the name, so I go by Shop BLatina, which stands for Black Latina.
Right. So it was like an in-depth conversation about the whole, the perception of what's good hair. So do you, I mean, based, because I have an afro and I have very kinky, coily, textured, coarse hair. And the perception is more wavier the hair, the more prettier it is. So,
yeah.
So that's the perception. So now my next question is, so your platform, obviously you're an advocate and representation of Afro-Latinas. So do you still think there's a stigma with light skin versus dark skin versus good hair? Like, do you think that if you're dark skin and you have like curly hair, you're considered pretty, versus if you're light skin and you got the kinky, coarse afro, then it's like, so are we still following that stigma, or do you think it's changed over the past few years?
That is a very great question. We still have a lot of work to do. The stigma is definitely there, especially in different places, in more places than others. I will say this. I think it is a very heavy topic, because I know going certain places, people look at me as like a unicorn, right? Because I'm dark skinned and then I have fine hair. And then if I go to other places, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're used to seeing people like you." So I just think we have a lot of work to do. The stigma is definitely there. I've noticed that light skinned Latinas who have coarse hair get a lot of love because they're light skinned with coarse hair. And then people are not used to seeing that. And then those who are dark skinned with very fine, thin, or wavy, curly hair, it's a different type of love. It's a different
Yeah, for a black girl, like it's kind of that connotation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So there's still a stigma. There's still much work that needs to be done. And as far as me, like, I do see that a lot of, so there's a thing called hair texture discrimination, but I do see that, and then the hair that's mainly discriminated against will be the type 4, more kinkier, coarser, nappier hair. But I do see that it's being portrayed more in a positive light.
Yes.
So that is something that's changed over the past few years. So what layers do you think we have to overcome for Afro-Latinas to get their proper recognition?
Listen, representation.
There's many layers. Like,
there's so many layers for us. And one, we just continue, we need representation everywhere. Like even this, like you giving me the platform to come on here and talk about being a Black Latina. This is what we need more of, because that's the only way people are going to see that we really do exist, and that Latinos don't just look one way. They're not all light skinned. They're not all have long, beautiful hair. Some of us look like me. Some of them look like you, So I think representation in every single aspect, from sports to entertainment, music, seeing it online, social media, seeing it on TV, having events that focus on people like us, I think what needs to happen for people to really accept and learn about who we truly are.
Yeah. And like so much education is still needed. Can you hear me okay? I think I'm going. Yeah, but it's like 2021 and a lot of people, they're still under the perception that Latinas or Latinos or Hispanics look like Jennifer Lopez or Pitbull, or they don't know that you have Afro-Peruvians, you have Afro-Mexicans, you have Afro-Cubans.
Yes.
They don't know that.
Yes, Black people are not just in America. They're in Brazil, they're in Colombia, they're everywhere. They're in Africa, they're in Europe.
Yeah, they're
and I sometimes can't understand why it's so hard to understand.
Because it's a brainwashing, I think, because of like the media portrayal. It's like a brainwashing.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't show a lot of Afro-Latinas in the spotlight. They don't show, and it's carried over still. It's like, come on, when is that going to end? Like, wake up and yourself. Like,
I know.
Color, just like the Blacks who don't speak Spanish or are not Latina, they're still people of color with different shades of, skin tones and hair textures and everything. So yeah,
Absolutely.
So much representation is still needed. So who are some Latinas that we should know about?
Ooh.
Can you go ahead and drop the images?
Okay, so some Latinas that we should know about: Amara La Negra, Celia Cruz, of course, Stacey Dash, although she's kind of been canceled.
I had no idea. I had no idea that she was Afro-Latina. No idea.
Mm-hmm. She has a Mexican background. Lala Anthony, Zoe Saldana, I'm not sure if I say her last name right, but Monica Stalmuse, Bernice Burgos, Tatiana Ali. There's so many out there.
Right. There's a lot out there. And the thing is, like, when people, so is it like a shock factor? When people like see, and when they don't understand that Black Latinas do exist, and then you say to them, oh yeah, I'm Afro-Latina, or when they see like Amara La Negra or, Monica, Stalmuse, are they shocked? Are they like, oh, what? So is that shock factor still there? Even with your last name, Garcia. So with Garcia, do they like question, wait, Garcia, how are you Garcia? So
yes, absolutely. You know it. I recently went to the dentist, and the dentist, he walked in and he saw my name on the paper and he did a double take and he's just like, Garcia. He's like, why do you have that last name? I'm like, why do you have your name? So it's just like, come on. But yes, the shock factor is definitely there, especially when it comes to those that I've just named, because majority of the time, the roles that these people play are African Americans. So in real life, when people find out their true background, like Bernice Burgos or Lala, they think that they were just African American. They didn't know that Bernice was Puerto Rican and Lala is Puerto Rican. Never knew that until, it's put out there. But they always make them play African American roles.
And and the thing is, Lala, I thought Lala was Black. I had no idea that she was. Well,
she is Black. She's a Black woman, right?
Yes.
Culture-wise, nationality, I'm not sure if she was born in Puerto Rico, but as far as culture, ethnicity, they are Hispanic.
Right. And so my next question is this. Do you think that for the Afro-Latinas or Latinos that do speak Spanish, do you think they look down upon the ones that don't speak Spanish, that do consider themselves to be Afro-Latina?
You said, do the Afro-Latinas that speak Spanish look down on the ones who don't?
Yes.
I don't think so, because we're all in this fight together. However, I do know that the Latinos, not necessarily that consider themselves Afro-Latinos, so the white ones or the mestizo ones, they do look down on those who don't speak Spanish. Because the first thing that they say to me after they hear my last name is Garcia or know that, okay, I come from a Hispanic or Latin background, the next question is, well, do you speak Spanish? As if that's going to quantify and validate who I am. And then when I say, no, I don't speak it fluently, then they're kind of like, well, then you're not a real Latina. And that's not the case.
Not the case, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do hear myself echoing a little bit. Okay. So yeah, so you can still be Afro-Latina and not speak Spanish. So to our viewers out there, yes, you do have Afro-Latinas and Latinos that they are, but they don't necessarily speak the language, but it doesn't make them less of their background. So let's just put that out there. Now, so what obstacles and challenges have you had to overcome? Any story you want to share with us?
What challenge and obstacles? You know, I just have to, I had to overcome just getting over the fact that some people may not believe me on who I am, which is, it just sounds so silly. And I'm okay with that. I am totally okay with them thinking that I am lying or that I'm not who I say I am. To be completely honest, one story that I can think of is my childhood best friend, right? We've never had the conversation about race or culture. And growing up, she always would, like, you know, we make fun of my father's accent, and, you know, she knew, you know, what it was, but we've never said, okay, he's Belizean, he's from South, you know, Central America. We've never talked about that, never had those discussions. And, you know, she came with me to the Puerto Rican Day Parade one time, and then all of a sudden, when I came out with Shop BLatina, you know, she made a weird comment on one of my posts when I first got started on Instagram. And then she said to a mutual friend of mine, she didn't understand what I was doing, and that, you know, I'm Black. Am I trying not to be Black? And I'm just like, no, if anything, I'm embracing it. I'm embracing my Blackness. Like, I went to an HBCU to further understand who I truly was. And then that's when I started to even embrace the Puerto Rican side of me. And, you know, I don't really have much understanding of the culture on that side, but the Belizean side, you better believe it, because my father was around me 24/7, you know? And so, and I was around his family, and I ate the food, the music. I've been to Belize, and, you know, it was just so weird to me that someone so close to me can say things like that and not get what I was doing. And it was just like, but it fueled me to continue to put it out there, because I'm like, man, if she doesn't understand the person's closest to me, that means everybody else must be confused too. So that drove me to, okay, further put out more and more content to educate others on what it means to be a Black Latina.
Yeah. And okay, so now what BLatina, can you hear me okay?
It's going in and out.
In and out, okay. So now with Shop, is this better? Now with Shop BLatina, you do have some merch, and I'm wearing one right now. Latina has no skin tone. You also have Born to an Immigrant as well. So Aaliyah, I don't know if you have the website up, shopblatina.com, but yeah, so you've carried over your message now onto merchandise, you know, for representation. So okay, so I don't know if we're gonna pull it up, but it's shopblatina.com is where we can go to find your merch and everything. Instagram, Shop BLatina.
Shop BLatina.
Oh, here we go. Okay, yes. So there's different messages. You have Masa More, which is more love. You have bodysuits, sweaters. You have Born to an Immigrant as well. So and I know that you have like different non-Latinos and Latinas that they actually wear it, and they're different skin tones, different shades of brown, different hair textures,
different sizes.
And so I know what Latino. Oh, did you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say, so my merchandise is made to give others a voice, because obviously we need more representation. And my mission was just to allow our clothes to do the talking for us.
Right. Okay. And so one more question. So have you had, so what Latina has no skin tone, do you want to clarify what that means? Because I know some people, they don't really understand the message behind it. And so Latina has no skin tone. Clarify what that means.
Okay, so Latina has no skin tone. It simply means that we come in many different skin tones. We are not just one shade. As I stated before, most people think that all Latinos are light skinned. That is not accurate. Okay, they're light, they may be pale, they may be mestizo looking, which is like that brown kind of Indian. And then there's darker skin tones, darker than me. We are all different shades. So this speaks to every Latina. Okay, I know some people get it confused because they're like, what do you mean no skin tone, you know? But it simply means that we don't all look one way. We are not just in one little box. We are all up and down the spectrum of shades.
All right, there you go. So what would you tell your younger self, and how old would you be?
Ooh, I would be 12 years old, because that's when you're in middle school, that's when people start to hang out with people in the same culture or race, right? So I automatically took to the African Americans, because those are the ones that accepted me in their little clique, right? But you remember in the lunchrooms, or maybe not, but where I'm from is very diverse. We had the Asians at one table, we had the African Americans over here, we had the Jamaicans over here, we had the Chinese people over here. And so I would tell my younger self to embrace who I am and go where I am, where I want to go, And I wish I could just I wish I was educated then, so that way I could have educated the Latinos who didn't accept me back then.
Okay, well, you're doing it now.
Thank you.
You're doing it. And thank you so much. Very inspirational. I just love your platform. I love that you're such an advocate to just just educate people. And you've also been featured on different articles as well. So the word is getting out there. It's definitely expanding and spreading, and continue to educate. So
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Boss Bae, for being our guest tonight. And
Absolutely welcome.
We'll see you on the gram. And again, visit Shop BLatina for her merch and everything. Instagram, Shop BLatina. And thanks again. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you for having me.
And now, so we do have a few shows lined up throughout the week, and let me go through them individually. So tomorrow is Thursday. Well, actually, let me start with Monday. So our MIA Media Group shows are as follows. Mondays is The Business of Black Business at 1 p.m. with Jay Reynolds. Tuesday is My Money, Your Money at 7 p.m. with Bridget Lumpkins. And then Wednesday is So with your girl, Nikki G. Nikki Says YOLO. Thursdays, tomorrow, it's going to be Lunch with Legacy Leaders at 12 noon with Anne-Marie Serral. And also Flavor of South Florida at 7 p.m. with our one and only Chef Irie. So again, visit MIA Media GRP on Facebook, and also MIAmediagrp.com. Thank you so much, everybody, and good night. And we'll see you next week.